Hey everyone, and welcome back to the Weekly Awakening Podcast. It is your host, Cosmic Colleen, back with another weekly astrology update. We got a pretty dynamic week this week. However, it's going to be a good dynamic week for the most part, but definitely intense. We're going to be starting to plant some seeds and really see some seeds blossom from Jupiter in Aries now that we're finishing that out with this new moon solar eclipse happening Thursday at 12:12 a.m. So technically, I believe that would be Wednesday night, we like to say, but really it's Thursday. So it's coming in hot. We're having this eclipse right at the very end of at the very end of Aries. And then the moon immediately moves into Taurus. As the sun moves into Taurus, Mercury stations retrograde into Taurus. The sun in Taurus squares Pluto. So you get what I'm saying? By a lot of intense energy, but for the most part, it will be pretty good. We'll be having breakthroughs. Like I said, we're getting to the end of Jupiter in Aries. In May, Jupiter will move into Taurus for a year. And if you want to know a little bit more, go back to some of my other episodes that, I guess over the last year that are titled Jupiter in Aries to get a better idea maybe of how this played out if you're curious and you're not sure how this played out. Or even the last couple episodes, we had a lot of Aries energy finishing out this Jupiter in Aries, and I talk a little bit more with that. So this new moon solar eclipse, we're finishing out this Jupiter Aries. The new moon solar eclipse, when we have eclipse season, it is a pivotal change. It doesn't necessarily happen that day, but it sets a story. It sets like a domino effect. Something happens, and then that sort of shifts our life in a certain way, and it brings big new beginnings and big new endings. With the lunar eclipse, we have big endings, and then with the solar eclipse, we're beginning, so we have new moon eclipses. I want to tell a little bit of a story about myself and Jupiter in Aries to give you guys a better idea of how this might play out. With Jupiter, we look at our spirituality, expansion, abundance, knowledge and wisdom that is shared with the world, and especially knowledge and wisdom around spirituality and theories and myths and creation. That is all Jupiter ruled things. So Jupiter in Aries in Mars' sign, we're beginning the zodiac. So Jupiter is beginning a brand new 12-year cycle in Aries, building those things from the ground up. Jupiter in the fire sign, there was like a really fast beginning, and then we might have had to slow down a little bit, and now it's picking up that momentum now that Jupiter's getting ready to leave Aries. So before I talk about the solar eclipse happening in Aries, I want to talk about how this played out in my chart this year. So literally, actually, let me tell you, Jupiter, my natal Jupiter, is in my 9th house in the sign of Taurus. Currently, Jupiter is transiting my 8th house. And I won't get into that, how that is related. I'm just going to talk specifically. So we're going to go to, for this story, there's many stories of how this played out, but for this story I think is really cool. We're going to look to the Jupiter in my 9th house, which is the house of higher learning, teaching, spirituality, and teaching those things. So literally this time last year, like around the same time that what I'm about to say and do, tell you it's happening. So about this time last year, when Jupiter entered Aries, my Jupiter got like a brand new beginning. If you remember, maybe some of my longtime listeners, I went to my kids' school, Abram's 2nd grade, and I shared about astrology. It was like mom career day, and I shared about astrology, and the kids went wild for it. They loved it, asking all kinds of questions, everything. Didn't think much of it because we don't always know how this is playing out, but I continued to grow in that area. And then this year, almost like to the date, I am speaking. We're getting at the end of it. I was asked to speak at this like private retreat. Okay, guys, like literally to the date, which that's what I've wanted to do. I got asked, someone is having like a private retreat at their house, and they asked me to lead the astrology part of it. I'm not even joking. And it's almost to the date. I'm so excited about it. But that's what I'm saying. So do you see how this transit played out? So when it first entered, I didn't quite see, I was presenting to a school, my kids' school, not realizing a year later, I continued to build and work throughout that year and shift. And now the universe presented me an opportunity around almost a year later at the end of this transit to now speak in front of a group of people. and present it to them. I'm like, holy shit, that is incredible. So it's playing out. So right there, Jupiter in my ninth house of teaching, esoteric, astrology, and now it's finishing out. So that's going to continue. See how it's growing? We're seeing a little bit about how our future is growing in some Jupiterian way, and that is how mine. So hopefully this will continue to blossom. I know it will as Jupiter moves into Taurus and blossom from that. So I hope you guys enjoyed that story. I can't believe it, and I'm really excited that that has happened. If you listen to my New Year's episode, I talked about finding a word and using that for that year of like whatever you want more in your life. And mine was opportunities. And I specifically, especially in January, I would say, universe, like please present me with opportunities. Or I would just say opportunity. Opportunities are there. I would just kind of throw the quote out there and like opportunities are showing up. So just want to share that little Jupiter and Aries story for me. If you guys have any stories and you want to send, I would love to share them on this show about how Jupiter and Aries has showed up for you this year. Let me know. I would love to share those on the show. So like I said, we have that. We got a lot going on. So let's go to the new moon solar eclipse, finishing out all this Jupiterian energy. I don't know about you, but I think we all have a little bit of this, but I know a lot of my Aries placements that I know in my life have like gotten their shit together this year, and especially around health, it seems, and wisdom, whether it's losing weight, stopping a toxic habit, adding a workout regimen. I think we all had a little bit of that though with Jupiter in Aries. Mars' sign, we got like kind of our body together. I'm 1 week into my cleanse, like I said, and I cannot believe it. 1 week in, I lasted. Those first couple of days were really crazy though. So solar eclipse, new beginning around health. So like I said, not just us, but not just our Aries placements, but all of us, and to a degree, had that. And to get a better idea, where is Aries? Where is Aries in your chart? What house does Aries rule? Where is Mars? And if you find that, you'll probably figure out where you got a new beginning, especially around health. And it could have been mental health, physical health. I feel like a lot of it's going to be related to the physical health, though, just being in Aries. But both go together. So aligning the mind with the body. So this eclipse is like really, while Jupiter was in Aries, we started to get it together, and now this is like planting a big seed. Okay, planting a big seed around your health. You're really making a big commitment. Maybe it's a personal trainer. Maybe it's, I'm doing this 1 month cleanse with a coach. Maybe it's finding a walking partner, something like that. Like you now have laid the foundation. So how can you make it even bigger and grander and better? What new big shift, big change are you doing? What new routine? Maybe it's waking up at 6 a.m. to work out before your kids. Something like that. You're going to be taking a little bit bigger with this eclipse. And then this happening with this eclipse is going to like bring these pivot changes. So you're laying the first domino that's going to bring a shift change, and it's going to continue from there. Life pivots happen with these where, oh shit, that came out of nowhere. And now I got to see where I need to pivot some things, and they can bring big, life shifts in that way. Doing what you need to get yourself in order, like we said, and also reflections of where do you need to take charge in your life. If you haven't had as strong as some people have had, realizing while Jupiter was in Aries, like how you need to get your shit together, you're going to have that. You're going to really see that with the solar eclipse, and you're going to make those changes in your mind or write them out on paper. Sometimes we need to really write things out on paper, not just to manifest, but also like, this is where I want to be, my goals. And this would definitely be a good goal oriented around yourself and where you want your goals for your mind, body, and soul to be. We're going to have positive growth, but we realize that we have to continue to make it happen. This positive growth isn't just going to, if we just lay around and do nothing, this positive growth isn't just going to be coming because we're thinking it. To a degree, you still have to make that happen. Like I had posted last week, our happiness is not by accident. We have to literally take and retrain our brain. It's about unlearning some days how to really be happy and how to find happiness in the day-to-day. And we're going to get confident with ourselves. We're going to have the power within us to be confident. And feel more confident and take charge in ourselves. Like, yeah, I'm really ready to make this decision and step into this new power. Because when we eliminate some bullshit, we become more powerful, believe it or not. When we get out of our own way, we become more powerful. What I've noticed, what was often blocking my power almost always was myself. Even if it was someone else, it's still myself that welcomes that energy in. So in the end, we are always the person blocking our own power. Remember that. And this would be a good one to really bust through, figure out, how am I blocking my own power? In what ways am I, what's the word I'm looking for? Stifling? I don't know if that's the word, like holding your power back. How are you doing that? Because this is going to come with a new release, a new big release. And the seeds, we're going to see the seeds that we started to accumulate over this last year. Like I had just told you, a year ago, I didn't realize that teaching the school, I want to do retreats. That's been a goal for years of mine. But I didn't realize the start of the planting of the Jupiter and Aries is going to happen at the school. And then a year later, I'm doing my first retreat someone asked me to do. So a year later, you see how these tiny seeds were planting, because I didn't stop what I was doing after I did at my kids' school. I continued to grow my knowledge and excitement and energy and everything for this. And now it's presented with this. So as Jupiter moves into Aries, just like that, you guys will see the little seeds that you planted over this year, and you'll see like, okay, wow, this is a big stepping stone, but a beginning stepping stone, not the major stepping stone. And now Jupiter moves into Aries, and that stepping stone is going to continue. It's going to continue a tiny bit here. It's going to continue a tiny bit there and grow in that way. Now, this eclipse, because it's happening at the very end, it's happening at the 29th degree. That's a pivotal breakthrough degree. We know the 29th degree is a sacred degree in ancient astrology. So that really means, like, again, I'm loving this for like the end of Jupiter's time in Aries and like the pivotal breakthroughs. But do you see what I'm saying? That the strong pivotal breakthroughs. We're getting to the end of this strong Aries energy. So it's going to be a more grounded, if you could add the word grounded with Aries, but it's going to be a little more of grounded breakthrough. And then Jupiter will move into, and then the moon will move into Taurus, where it will get a little more grounded. And we can see too, at the end of this, are mistakes we've made in this year, and the very Mars-like mistakes that can sometimes happen. But now we have, instead of letting them defeat us and saying, damn, I hate this shadow, or how I got in my way in this way, whatever, we actually allow it to give us a deeper meaning and understanding and lead us to more faith. So this week, I don't think we're going to be discouraged with our shadows. We're actually going to be not even thinking of them in that way. We're going to be realizing the wisdom of it. We're going to be realizing, seeing the silver lining and understand and having that deeper understanding. I don't know about you, when I go through hard stuff, like that does feel so good. It makes it all worth it when you gained the wisdom. Now you know why. Now you have changed. Now you've shifted. Now you have awareness. All that stuff, the wisdom that you can now share is a beautiful thing. And that is a gift that we take and to continue the rest of our lives through. So that wisdom is really, really a gift as you're resetting your life and really letting go of some toxic things and some attachments. It's a great new moon to, I think with the full moon with Libra, we really did let go of some attachments. And now the cycle is coming back through. So with the new moon in Libra opposite Aries, we let go of some toxic things or attachments. If you remember that new moon in Libra was the full moon in Libra was very about having those attachments in the forefront of our mind and in the forefront of our life, especially ones around our inner child attachments. All of our adult attachments are based on our inner child attachments. So we really got to see how we could remove that and give our adult self love and how we can realign ourselves, because seeing those attachments, they really don't align with our soul. It's a really complicated thing. We have attachments. It's not like, I let go of some attachments, but I'll probably have 10 more tomorrow. It's like a funny dance between those. But we're at this moment in our life, we're removing certain attachments and we're realigning our soul, because those attachments sort of took us away from our soul. That's a little bit of the Jupiter and Mars, like it took us away. But now we're using that wisdom to remove and reset our life. And this is a really great solar eclipse with resetting, the final reset, the final breakthrough. And we're going to be having and feeling that hope shot in a big way, that passion around hope. We're going to be leading with passion, leading around hope, leading with love. And this will be a powerful spiritual awakening for a lot of people, honestly. I think this will be, and again, like the come to Jesus spiritual awakenings, the removing of the darkness. Like I said last week, Mars is a little bit uncomfortable in the moon sign in Cancer right now, so we can't discount that. Aries planet, Mars, is in Cancer at this moment. So that's why I'm saying, to add to the powerful spiritual awakening, Mars activates our feelings in Cancer and really deep subconscious things. So I think there's going to be, with that removal, and we've seen the final removal of some toxic things, we're going to have a powerful spiritual awakening into our own self, which is really, like I keep saying, what this solar eclipse is going to be about. Sobering, spiritual, expanding your knowledge of self in many different ways. Maybe even getting like an energy coach and reaching out for an astrology reading, those type of things. Now, to add, with Mars being in the moon sign right now, to add a little bit more with this eclipse, we're going to heal the mistakes of our mothers, grandmothers, and bring healing and healing our karma lifeline. You know, we're going to be healing our karma, not to say just bloodline, but lifeline and our family line. And because it's in the moon, we're looking to mothers and grandmothers. And when I say this, it doesn't mean at all that our parents or grandparents are bad. They're not. Like, every single parent in this world has their good and bad, because they're unlearning, right? We're unlearning what our souls came in here to. We're unlearning things from the past, unlearning family traits and patterns, and also rebuilding new things. But within that, we have to honor those mistakes. We have to honor, and we have to forgive, and we have to love, and we have to bring compassion, because that is how we heal our family karma. So we're going to be healing by accepting and forgiving maybe some of the faults or the patterns from our mothers, our grandmothers, the females in our life. And even a little bit of some friendship within that, and you're going to be finally channeling that wisdom from that pain. With that healing, you're going to be now channeling that wisdom within you, and it's going to make you have a better relationship with the divine feminine in yourself, in your family, and other women around you, or other divine feminine around you. That is how we're going to do the full circle healing. And we're going to be accepting that pain in a big way. We're going to be learning how to forgive. Think about the song. I love this song, and I feel like it sounds good with this eclipse. I love Oasis. Don't Look Back in Anger. Play that song, especially if you're after your healing and you're thinking about what you need to heal, or you're thinking about some of your ancestral lines. Play Don't Look Back in Anger by Oasis. I just love that song really a lot. So that's what's up for the solar eclipse in Aries. That's moved to the next big thing, because this episode's already probably going to be running to about 30 minutes by the time I get done with Mercury retrograde. And I try to keep them under 30. I realize people are more open to listening if they see like 20 minutes. The more you start to get over 20 minutes, the commitment in their mind gets bigger, because of course we're creating a world where no one can listen longer than a minute. Okay, so let's talk about Mercury retrograde. First of all, this Mercury retrograde, I know, is going to be, I think, an easier Mercury retrograde, even though we have that in the fixed signs, There's mutual reception right now. And mutual reception means when two of the planets are in each other's signs. So we have Mercury, which is Gemini's planet, in Taurus. Venus, which is Taurus's planet, is in Gemini. So that means that is what mutual reception is. So right away, when I was like doing my notes, even when I started to look at this Mercury retrograde, I'm like, okay, this is going to be a little bit of an easier Mercury retrograde, because there's mutual reception, there's better understanding, there's a little bit better of communication when both of them are in that mutual reception. And the host, right, Venus, which is Taurus's host, is, to add to Gemini, it's in that flexible sign of Gemini. So before everyone freaks out, I like to go over the rules, but I'm going to, I'll talk about the rules another time, because I feel like I like to reiterate at every Mercury retrograde, but for my listeners, you guys already know. So we're going to talk specifically, and I quote unquote rules of Mercury retrograde, like the generic ones. But I just want to keep it, because it's long, to to this specifically, to what this is going to happen. So on Friday, Mercury stations retrograde in the sign of Taurus. Like I said, we got Venus and Gemini, so that means mutual reception. Right away, I love that. It's like taking off the pressure of Mercury retrograde by like 15%. 20%, it's taking off the pressure, if you know what I'm talking about. And it's going to be a little bit loosey. And they're going to work together, and they're not really going to work apart. Mercury retrograde already works opposite. But having the fact that there's mutual reception in the planet it's happening in, they're going to be working together. They're going to be working to strengthen each other and to help each other. So this will be very, very positive. Now, the thing is, with everyone loves to talk about Mercury retrograde as exes coming out of the woodwork. That can be true. Generally, not every Mercury retrograde is that big. The energy is really surrounded about exes coming out of the woodwork to reach out to you. That would be more maybe some sign specific if it's happening in their 5th or 7th house. But some Mercury retrogrades are a little bigger around that. And this is actually going to be one of them. So like I said, not all retrogrades is a really big X energy retrograde, but this one's a little bit of one, actually. We have the planet of communication, Gemini and Mercury, and the planet of love and relationships and friendships, Venus and Taurus. And there are mutual reception. So this will definitely be one where ex-lovers will be reaching out in some ways, or maybe you will be reaching out to some ways. Sisters, aunts, friends, family, friends. All those people may be reaching out to us. I would not be surprised from your past. Shocking. You might also. Now, it doesn't always mean it's time to get back together. Sometimes it's just reflective. Here, I'll talk about the relationship part of Mercury retrograde. So that is a thing. Like I said, people say that, but this really has a strong energy of people from your past reaching out just because of the signs that it's playing out in. And if it's an ex, sometimes we see the ex, for a revision, for a second look. Maybe we really have some unleft business. What's the word I'm looking for? Maybe we have some more business left to do and chat through in order to get some closure. Maybe it's an ex coming through to have a second date. Not a second date, but have like a second go around at the relationship. Maybe it's someone that you poo-pooed off and maybe had 1 or 2 dates with, or you met and then never reached out, but now you guys are all of a sudden talking again. So those are like some more positives around that relationship and people reaching out. And sometimes our exes come out just so we can see how far we've grown. So keep that in mind. Sometimes it's like, oh yeah, I've grown so far. I'm so over that. And that's no longer what I'm aligning with. So those are really the big possibilities of how that can play out in our life. In Mercury retrograde. And also the same goes for family and friends. Some friends, it could be as simple as a friend reach out to you that you haven't talked to in 6 years and now you guys are meeting for lunch. A family member, maybe you previously had a little bit of a fight that you guys were both stubborn with, and now they're reaching out and you guys are chatting again, feeling flexible. Having that Mercury and having Venus in Gemini makes it like more open about communicating. You're going to be able to say what you want to say. And to add to that, our communication, we're going to be revisiting communication and messages with those people in our life, or maybe other people, just people we see all the time that we couldn't really quite get a message across to. We wanted to, but it didn't come out right. We didn't say it right. Well, or it was blocked there. We're going to have easier communication to resurface and look at that. We're also going to be like really re-looking at our self-care plan. This year's really a lot about self-care, and with Jupiter getting ready to move into Taurus, now we're beginning this week out with really looking at our self-care plan and how does that look, and how can we now take the solar eclipse stuff where we were getting our stuff together, and how can we add even more self-love to that. When Mercury retrograde begins, the sun moves in and enters Taurus within 24 hours. So Mercury retrograde and the sun moving into Taurus is going to be happening within 24 hours. Not every Mercury retrograde starts like that. Mercury retrograde the can start and the sun can be in another sign, the sign before it, the sign after it, depending on where Mercury is. So I think it's actually extra powerful that this is beginning with the sun as well. So it's pretty much Mercury retrograde. Even though Mercury's been in Taurus, the retrograde's beginning and adding an added power to it. So someone or something, whether it's an idea, a joy, a pleasure, a person, is re-entering our life path. And as I said earlier, this is going to be, for the most part, a good re-entry. I feel really good about this, and the revisiting and the rethinking. But someone will be re-entering your life path, and to enhance it in some way, to sort of, whether it could be just bring you a message that helps you continue down the path you're on, or bring you a message or an idea that kind of switches up your path. Especially we're having this eclipse, which is a path switch up happening with it, and kind of throws you off a limb, but in a good way. And now you know which path you need to take, but you're like, holy shit, I didn't see that. That came out of left field. Someone will also bring a message of hope, struggle, happiness. Someone in your past, or you've had a past encounter with, will bring some of those messages re-entering, and especially around hope, but you're going to hear the struggle as well. And Gemini being in, Venus being in Gemini can bring a sudden flow of communication, like I said, and with real truths. You're able to speak your mind, how you feel with someone again, or how you don't feel anymore. And maybe you didn't know what to say or how to say it, like I said, but now you're saying the right words. So we're really also going to have a lot of rethinking. If you get what I'm saying, it's a it's, we don't really start new things with Mercury retrograde, but we re-look, we re-begin. That's how we can stay in the good vibes of Mercury retrograde. Rethinking what is worth it? Is work worth it, or is living my life to the fullest? What does that look like? Am I living my life to the fullest while I'm working so much? And I feel like that is going to be a big complexity with this, and rethinking about what really matters. What actually matters. Having Mercury retrograde in Venus likes love, it likes enjoyment, it likes connection, it likes food, it likes relationships, it's basically what living life to the fullest looks like. We go to Venus. And it's funny, with Mercury, we go to work. So what is happening? What work? Are we overworked? Are we realizing that, we don't spend enough time in the enjoyment of life, which is really all that we're going to be thinking about when we get older? Let me share a little bit story, too, to relate to this a little bit more. I was at my kid's birthday party, not my own son's birthday. We were at a birthday party in his class yesterday, and I was talking to one of the a husband and wife were standing there, and I was chatting with him a little bit, and he is a construction worker, and he works really, really hard. And they were also sharing, just like everyone, the money and the money issues that they were having. But he also, in the same sentence, said that in the wintertime, he could do plowing and all these other things, and in the springtime, but he decided instead of working 15 hours, it wasn't worth it, because then he would come home and his daughter would still want to go out, and he would, and he realized that he'll take less money living in this apartment with not even having money left over at the end of the month to have more time with his daughter. And that's what he was sharing with that. And he said it's not worth. He's like, I don't care about the money struggles. I know she's only little for one day, and I only have this precious time with her for once, so I would rather have that than work. And I thought to myself, wow, this is I thought afterwards when I was writing these notes, I'm like, wow, that's really going to be a reflection for a lot of people, is what really matters in life, and how do we spend our time, and what do we spend our time on. And it was really powerful, because this guy, I see him at all the birthday parties. Remy and her have been in the same room, classroom for the last couple of years, and he really does love his daughter. He's always bringing her, and you can tell. And just I think that's really profound that someone would choose, hey, I'll struggle with money just so I can have more time with my child. And that's the beauty in life, and I think that that's what we're going to be seeing. And it's hard, and to say broke, he's not like this broke. You're broken in the United States if you're in the middle class right now. It's unfortunate what they warned us about. They would always say, oh, the further apart you are, the further you are, eventually we're getting further. We're losing the middle class in America. We've lost it, in my opinion, since COVID. You're either almost everyone I know, myself included, that is what was once a profitable way to live in the United States as middle class is not there anymore. There's either semi-rich, which is the new middle class, rich, and effing rich, and billions. You know, all the other people who make amazing salaries that would normally just probably 10, 15 years ago be a very, you know, comfortable way to live in America is no longer that. And, you know, like I said, this guy, he is not hard. He's broke because the United States, you know, made middle class broke. But again, I guess the power is that he was choosing his daughter over making all this extra money. He knew that was not worth it. I don't want to get into the whole other, but that's a whole other subject of broke, but it's a shame now in America. You really cannot live middle class like comfortably. It's really kind of scary, but I think with Pluto and Aquarius, we're going to level some things out there, just in my personal, honest opinion. Something else I want to share about Mercury retrograde, and I'll keep this updated, and I'll talk more about it as the weeks go on, these next couple weeks, Mercury retrograde. We talked a lot about re-entering or re-looking at relationships. They say not to enter a new relationship. Now, that doesn't mean that you don't meet someone, you know, go for it if you enjoy it. But sometimes it's just that with Mercury retrogrades, Mercury can be a tricky planet. And when it retrogrades, the trickiness of that planet comes out. So you could meet someone and they could be not who they really actually say they are, or it ends up being the wrong timing in like a couple weeks afterwards. Things like that is why we don't really suggest like new, but definitely a second look about is pretty good too. Okay. Lots of long-winded episode. I hope everyone stayed tuned through the end. Thank you so much. Thank you again. You guys have been amazing. You've been supporting me so much. I'm fully self-supporting podcast. I don't ask for money. I don't ask for anything. I just ask that you share this with someone you know, rate, review it, subscribe, comment on my social media, post about it. You guys have been, you know, my day ones out there. You know who you are. You guys have been posting about me, sharing it, telling everyone, and I love you guys. You have been so, I don't know, just really amazing, and I really appreciate that. And again, if anyone has any Jupiter and Aries stories that they want me to share on this podcast, let me know, because I'm curious how this played out, and I'd love to share some more stories with people. I love you all. Have a beautiful day, and goodbye.